Good evening, this is Pineleaf Needles, and welcome to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO, and here at LOTRO Players. And tonight we have with us the man from Transylvania, Draculetta.
Hey, everybody.
We have the Welsh wonder, Etheros.
Hi.
And with us, the Lady of London in Rome, Kate.
Hi, everybody.
And finally, our torch in Indonesia, Andang.
Hey everybody, Andang means torch in Indonesian, and Pinely's making a big deal out of it.
Very well. And tonight, our big news is that LOTRO character transfers are now automated. Ethros, have you been keeping tabs to this?
Well, I kind of wrote the article, so I would hope so. Otherwise, it's not very reliable. This is actually something they've been referencing for a long time, speeding up the process and all that stuff. I guess it just got pushed back for more important stuff. But now it's finally here, and the process is completely automated now, which means it can be done a lot faster. The claim they've made is just a matter of minutes compared to hours or upwards of weeks, depending on the backlog they've had to work through. Probably the main point of contention, as usually is one, is that paying with turbine points, which you used to be able to do, is no longer possible. It's payment only.
Or with tokens, it looks like.
Yeah, you pay for those, and then you can use them whenever you want, instead of having to transfer when you pay immediately. So I suppose that's a benefit. You can just store up on them and use them whenever.
If you go around transferring a large number of characters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, has anyone here actually ever transferred a character?
Yes, I have. I transferred Andang from Imladris to Landerville.
I transferred two of my daughters from Brandywine to Landravale. Took a week, and it was a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Your daughter actually had a high enough character
we
to do that?
we started on Winfola, and then she wanted to move to a different server. So that was maybe a year or more ago. She didn't really like the community, and then when she started to put a new character on Landravale, she really wanted to bring her high levels over. So for her birthday, she had 2 character transfers, and they didn't take very long, and the customer services was really good. I don't mind waiting. And we paid with turbine point, but of course we bought the points with cash, so I think it all works out the same in the end.
Okay. And of course, if you don't want to pay $25, you could always use the Pine Leaf method of transferring characters.
Level another one.
Start a new one.
Yeah, start a new one.
That's what I do as well.
That's what I do.
It's
It's cheaper.
probably worth mentioning, though, that there is a limited time where you can still pay with turbine points. You do it through the support site rather than this method, but it won't be there for long.
Right. And now the second note that we have is that loot box weekend once again. So therefore we have additional loot boxes being put. So I suspect that if you're listening to this after the fact, instead of on the live stream, you might miss it because it ends on March 10th.
Why don't you talk about this, Drac?
No, let's not talk about that.
I think we should talk about this track.
Sure, I knew this was going to come up. Loot boxes are dropping, and so are keys. And when you open them, you get a red stupid horse and a character that you don't want to have the red stupid horse, and What is there more to talk about? I can't really think anything else to talk about.
There is one more thing to note, is that the free sample for this week, we'll get to this again at the sale, is a sturdy steel key. So therefore, if you happen to get a loot box drop on a character that doesn't have any keys, you could get a free key for that way. In fact, the most significant of the loot box drops that I had so far during this event was on a character that had 0 keys. So therefore, that character got the free key for the week.
Yeah, the key you do buy from the store is account bound, so you can swap between characters, but obviously you can't trade it to someone else.
Yes. In my case, though, if I've got to worry about different servers for some of my characters, therefore, whichever character you selected on, make sure they're on the server that you want to use it with.
I don't think Turbine accounts for your insanity.
I agree with the Belros here.
All right. Very well, then. We'll head into the developer snippets then. And Ethros, you like to collect those things.
Apparently I do.
Yep.
I have to look at the page to remember what I put.
Oh, all right. I'll go while you look for it. Yeah.
Yeah, the main thing regarding Update 13 is that they've pushed back it coming up on Bolera for next week instead of what it was going to be this week. I'm not sure exactly what it is. They just mentioned issues, but it'll be up sometime next week, hopefully.
Yes, it should be up by next week because there is a scheduled, it'll be mentioned later, I believe, that there is a scheduled Hobbit run with Sapiens on Bull Roar next week. So therefore, if they're going to hold it, it's going to have to be open.
Yep. Probably is, again, worth mentioning that there are currently issues with the Bolera client in that, unlike the live one, which uses Happy Cloud, the old one is still labeled as using Pando, even though it's not actually there, which means that anyone who doesn't currently have the BR client cannot download it and install it. And according to Sapiens, that's not going to be repaired until like the next 1 or 2 rounds.
Right. He says it's unlikely to be fixed before the first round. So we'll have to hope that they get it fixed by the second one.
Yep.
Yeah, let's hope.
The other rest of the news is more related to Rowan, because he's made a few posts, which is a novelty considering our previous producer.
Yeah.
The first bit is that it does intend to release letters more often instead of just 1 a year. It's going to be hopefully quarterly at least, and one of them will be released around the launch of Update 13. He also intends to post more on the forums, as you'd expect, and turn up more in the streams they do for the Hobbit to Isengard. The other major thing is that he kind of explained what their intention is in development for this year. And his comparison to it was the year after Shadows of Amon launched, which kind of includes the whole regular content releases in terms of landscape, additions to, changes to systems and such things like that. The priority for them at this point is just making the world and the story more expanded.
Right. Now we'll head into our store sales, and this is Draculetta's Bailiwick. So, Draculetta, what's on sale this week?
We have a new steed in the store, which is called the Steed of the Kingstead. We have 20% off of Quest Packs, Legacies, Scroll of Combination, Relic Remover Scroll, and Max Morale and Power Scroll. And the free sample of the week is Sturdy Steel Key, as we mentioned before. The coupon code for that is KEYME7, KEYME7, and that is 1 key per account. So use it wisely.
Has anyone seen the Steed of the Kingstead?
I see it on the feed.
Yes, yeah, yes, but has anyone seen it in game so we can see what it really looks like?
I have not seen it in game, but I noticed before the show, Supergirl Lorian posted it on her site. There's a nice big picture of it on her site.
I've only seen the
All right.
screenshot they've put there, and it looks okay. It's nothing like the Snow Beast one, but it's not terrible. Just kind of bland.
Bland. All right.
And needless to say, for the sales, 99% terrible. Quest packs are good, especially considering the revamps.
Yes, very definitely the quest packs are the best of the lot for this week's sale. Very well. Now into our LOTRO players news, and we'll begin with a new writer,
Yay!
Terry Adwin.
Yay! Kermit style.
Yes, and he brought with us some guidelines for the Hobbit run. And for those who don't know what the Hobbit run is, this is a live stream that is being done by Sapiens, approximately weekly, though it's not a perfect schedule in that matter. Sometimes he has 2 in the same week, sometimes he skips a week, depending on how he can arrange things. And the idea is to escort a level 10 Hobbit that Sapiens is playing, and escort that Hobbit all the way to Isengard without them getting killed. You get 2 shots at it. The most recent attempt was done by Arkenstone, who did it in 59 minutes and 6 seconds, so that's the time in which each server now has to beat. And they might have done it by reading this article and seeing all the things that you need to do in order to be able to do your best, such as no cloaks, no mounts, no clumping, and things like that. So anyone have any comments on this?
First of all, for your first article, this is an awesome article to have your first article. They did a great job, and it's well thought out, and there's a lot of tips. And there's even some funny things in there too. So I think it's a great article.
Yeah, I enjoyed reading it.
All right. Then we'll go to our next one where we had a little... If you all remember that American Golden Star of CSTM, who used to have a major podcast before they retired from it, they were on a podcast with Braxwolf called Beyond Boss Fights, and Braxwolf wrote an article describing the experience.
Yeah, and he got a big head and decided not to show up for this week's episode of LOTRO Players News.
I listened to this. Yeah, he was talking to American Golden Star about life game imbalance. It was really interesting, not just only to hear what American Golden Star are up to now, of course, and the lovely baby Hobbit, but yeah, just to get people's thoughts on how much gaming is healthy and, when is it time to do something else. So,
yeah,
more LOTRO for me is better.
All right, then. And now we'll have our weekly LOTRO video highlight and ending. What's the highlight of the week?
Well, this week, if you are a Lore Master fan of any kind, then you will love this week's episode because it is titled Friend of Bears, and basically it's a story of a bear that comes running towards it's probably a champion, but clearly, to film it, it's a Lore Master, and but he's wearing more like champion style armor or some type of a hero, and it's a really, really well done, very simple video that goes through showing how much fun it is to be a Lore Master, and especially near the end of the video, it really showcases how the Lore Master can really change the tide of battle and be this awesome hero. And it's cool because of the way they filmed it, it makes it look like he actually has 3 or 4 animal pets that are coming and helping him, and it's pretty cool.
And he wrote this before they had Sikkim.
That's right. Yes.
My daughter said, "Let me try this new skill on you. It won't hurt." She sicked all her pets on me at once.
It is intensely satisfying.
Yeah.
Oh, I must check that video out. It looks good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Nasty, 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 nasty. And ending was also, of course, heading up the LOTRO players' adventures, where we had some fun.
Yes, we went to Fornost and failed. We failed badly.
That's pretty much it.
We failed really badly.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining.
Doubly bad for me because I lost a dying competition, so...
Yeah. I didn't keep count of mine, so I don't know how close I was to you two. I'm sure I was pretty close.
I'm sure you were pretty close. And if someone wanted to go back and count through and send us an email of how many times Pineleaf died in episode 5 of LOTRO Players Adventures, I'm sure Pineleaf would be glad to find that out.
Hear it through his experiences in the moors.
I think we will find more fun in Forakel, which reminds me that LOTRO Academy put up a new episode 90 quest pack review for Forakel.
You're just a master of segues today.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
we just wanted to move to Forakel.
I wouldn't want to go
Yes.
I'm with her. I
Cold.
want houses everywhere in every single zone, and if that means it starts in Forhell, bring it on. Bring on the
Sounds
houses.
like for a hell for a reason.
Yep.
Oh, all right. I have a feeling that I would like to not buy my house up there. It's a bit chilly
Oh.
for me.
But wouldn't you like to see houses in some other zones?
Well, I suppose.
So would you
That
want
would
to
be
crush
nice to
someone's
have.
dream if that's their dream to have a house in a zone that doesn't have one
Oh.
right now, Pineleaf?
Wait. I just said I'm not going to buy one there. I said nothing that
Okay.
no one else has a right to. So we'll head off into Lily Kate's community events.
Okay. Okay, big week this week, so I'll get through them as quick as we can. EU people and other people who are still with standard GMT times, remember the USA and others across the pond set their times forward on the 9th, so last Sunday or tomorrow. So yeah, our time difference will be 1 hour, 1 hour closer to them. So be aware, check server time if you want to attend any events so that you don't miss out. On to community events. This upcoming Saturday, there's going to be a Solver Mystery Roleplay contest and concert from Kira Lynn at Windy Acres Ranch. She has organised a special Solver Mystery Roleplay event on Saturday, the 15th of March at 4:30 p.m. server time. That's Eastern US on Landreval. Common roleplay, win prizes, and enjoy fine music. Everyone's to meet at 9 Chestnut Street in Raglan, Raglan, at Breeland Homesteads. The event
Yeah,
features a detailed... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I should note on. Oh, you're still describing that one? All right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
what's going to happen is that my post is going to go up on Sunday the 9th, and all the details will be in that post. So people want to check when this comes out live, people want to check last Sunday's community events, and the links will be up.
Yes.
So yeah,
I should note that the last one that they held, I attended. I had a lot of fun at that one trying to solve it. I managed to solve it, though I didn't submit it because I didn't know if I had enough clues that I could describe it properly. So I think in the end, I probably much.
he was probably just fatigued from the fellowship walk, though.
Yeah, there was. But anyway, I do remember coming up with that one. I don't know if you did on that one or not. Because
I was
else
too
at the
tired
time.
to even concentrate on properly. Do you remember? I just walked around and said, "You did it, didn't you?" Confess to each and every actor. No, you did it.
Well, yeah, there was a point on that. Okay.
Right, I'll just bulldoze on with this information from Kira. Yeah, the event features detailed role-playing story and is open to characters of all levels, so you can just roll a new tune and turn up. The game is designed to be played by any number of people. It lasts about 2 hours. During the game, our actors, I'm going to be an actor. Come and tell me that I did it, didn't I? They will play key roles as suspects in a mystery story, so you have to role-play either a bounder, ranger, sheriff, or someone appointed to investigate. Clues are gained by examining evidence and interviewing the suspects. The suspects and evidence will be located at 5 different adjacent houses. So you go around to each house and you pop into the houses, you meet a new character.
Oh yeah.
So, go on.
Sorry, you're still talking. Sorry.
Yeah, so after completing your investigation, as Pineleaf said, you tell the host who the culprit is and why they committed the crime. And the first 3 who correctly win, you win turbine points. And they've got other prizes. It's usually codes, turbine points, horses, titles. So show up appropriately dressed for an ice wine festival or as investigators. And of course, details about games and rules can be provided on Windy Acres and will be provided on the day. Music provided by the Remediators and Dome Master Band von Brie. So, hooray, come and show up. It's going to be great. It really is. So that's
Awesome.
the big event.
Okay.
So,
By the way,
go
Andy,
on.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I'm going to be at next week's at LOTRO Players Adventures.
What? Pine Leaf? We had a thing
Feel
going.
betrayed.
We were happy.
There's a solve a mystery roleplay contest at that time.
Yeah.
How do you know LOTRO Players Adventures isn't going there, Pine Leaf?
Yeah,
Well,
come and try and solve the clues. That would be great.
Because you said something about Fornos,
Fornost.
No, I think
Yeah.
you're hearing things, Panif.
Bornos sounds pretty good, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
Okay, we got two band mentions. Both of these just happen to be on Landraval. It's not because I prefer Landraval bands. I like bands on any server. So we've got Beatles. They play Bree Stage on Sundays at 7 p.m. EST, and we've got Barabahu. They also play Bree Stage at Saturdays at 8 p.m. before Animal House. So excellent events. Read my community post for who else is playing. I've got some new pictures. Ales and Tails are going to be, I think, at the Greenhouse in Thornsgate, but I have to check that. So thanks, everybody. That's all the events news for today.
Awesome.
All right. Sorry about the interruptions there.
It's okay.
Now we will then head on to Brax's pick of the week, and Brax is not here, so therefore, let us see. Draculetta, could you handle Brax's pick?
Why are you picking on me tonight?
This is a subject you are sort of passionate
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, I kind of figured that's why he was going to have to talk about it. His pick of the week this week is Epic Battles 3 Months On, and it's by Roger Edwards, course from Contains Moderate Peril. And Roger actually got the idea to write about this. He saw Sip from Massively tweeted out a tweet that said, Lotro players, do you think, well, he calls them big battles, and that's neither here nor there.
Even
never mind.
Sip.
Yeah, even Sip calls them big battles. Succeeded or failed at delivering compelling, replayable content. And Roger basically, just to sum up his article, pretty much I think feels about what most of the community feels like, and they had a lot of potential, but they failed, and there's really no way to fix them. He says at the end, personally, I think Epic Battles were a calculated gamble by Turbine that have not paid off in their favor, and furthermore, I cannot think of any way in which they can be improved. And I just want to stand up and just clap for Roger by saying that, because I am totally with him. Way to go, Roger. Way to go.
Right.
That's a fan then.
Yeah. And to get, to my point, what annoys me is I wish Even Turbine does this too. Are they big battles? Are they epic battles?
They're epic battles.
When
They stated epic battles. It's epic
It's what they're
battles.
called in game, so I use that.
Yep.
Right, and for some reason, even Turbine still in a couple of their dev articles and stuff, they call them big battles too. And for some reason, that annoys me to no end, about as much as epic battles do.
Oh boy! And I know how much those annoy. If you and what's me is, of course, is my favorite class is the warden, and I don't. I'm just about to get my Berg into there, but so far I haven't found a class that's worse with them than the warden. They're a real pain on the warden.
Maybe it's because of the class I play when doing them, possibly. But for me, I still enjoy them more so with other people or when I've gotten enough points to actually invest in engineering, which is really, in my opinion, the only good line.
Well, Chromite
Well,
from the chat completely disagrees with you, Athelros, saying the proper name is Derby Battles.
Yeah,
And I agree with
I
that.
would. Yes, I'm well aware that I'm the minority in this, but I would actually disagree that with Roger saying there's no way of improving them. I think there are a number of ways that could make them more enjoyable. Whether
Yeah.
they will, whether there'll be too many resources to actually improve them or not, is a different question. But I think there are a number of ways that could make them good or better.
I
I mean, like we were discussing, not in this recording, but previously about whether they are the worst in terms of content additions. I would say that defensive skirmishes are worse. Like Siege of Gondomar, I would much rather do an epic battle than that.
I'd rather do Siege of Condiment.
I dare say you're rather biased in that.
I would rather do Gondomar.
would rather do Gondomar.
Well, yeah.
But there are those that like epic battles too, I'll give you that.
And hey, and if you like them, I mean, more power to you. Good on you. Play them to your heart's content. I could care less.
Something that actually, like, it's not quite related to that, but he mentions that he tried doing them on his upscaled level 40. And he was saying that he gained nothing for what he did in that thing. Like, I haven't done it in a while as an upscaled, but I was pretty sure you at least get XP and maybe the medallions and marks. Has that changed?
You should be getting everything. The medallions and marks will be scaled with your level, of course, but I believe you get the same as someone else who does them.
So either he just didn't manage to do well enough for the objective, which wouldn't be surprising considering
He probably got iron for everything, I'm sure, because I know
Considering,
that if
yeah.
you're upscaled, you're going to be less powerful and you're less likely to get bronze or silver.
Yeah, I suspect that's what it is, because last time I did it, you did get some kind of rewards. Again, I was playing a Lawmaster, so from what I hear, they are a very overpowered class for epic battles especially. But there we go.
All right, very well. Now, why don't you bring up a question for this week?
Yeah, I think I did. This is a continuing the series we started last week. I try and come up with interesting questions that might spark some interesting conversation. This one I've mainly pulled from the forums, composed of different debates, mainly about session plays. People complaining that they were previously mandatory and the older ones still are. They've started making them mostly skippable since Wildemore, but there is still complaints that they're just not a good mechanic to use to begin with. And there is a secondary question that I'll bring up after the first one. What do you think? Are they actually a good way of telling the story of the epic?
That's a tough one. I think that, especially like, for example, the Gondor part, where they go back, they show, Isildur and some of the others, back in that time, and then tying it all in later on, and then like the session plays with the Fellowship when it breaks. That was, I think, essential to the story. At the same time, some of the other session plays aren't really that exciting. Particularly
The-
when you only have like 4 skills and it takes, when they're longer, and they can be viable, I'll put it that way.
Probably the worst session play I did was the one where you play as an Angmarim. Like the way it's set is good, but
Yeah.
you end up running out of power and you're just auto attacking the slugs, and it's just goes on forever.
Yeah, that can be a pain.
Princess,
I actually find that
go ahead.
I find that the session play, that's its entire point, is being a storytelling mechanic.
Yeah.
And that if you need to know some background or something like that, which your character wouldn't otherwise know, it's a way in order to witness it. Let's face it, there are a good number of people out there who want to witness certain events that there's no way your character could have been at it. And the only way you can do that is through a session play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Princess,
I'm largely in the same.
Princess Terraria from the chat says, I kind of like session plays, except when they break. I was trying to do Fall of Moria earlier, and it was stuck.
Well, yeah, the Fall of Moria can be a bit of a pain, or even worse, the mandatory one, we cannot get out, which is a very, very tough one. And if there's anyone that I wish could have been made optional, that would probably be on my list.
I've heard a lot about those particular ones, the Moria ones being broken. I ran via a book in Rivendell a few months ago, and they seemed fine then.
Well, yeah, it does run fine, because I ran in a couple of months ago also, for at least the We Cannot Get Out, I ran a couple of months ago while I was going through Moria. So, yeah, I do know that it operates properly, but you have to be on your toes in order to get through it. Because you're supposed to last until a certain point in there when you're being overcome. Now, because if you don't reach that point, if you died just 1 second before that point, I'm sorry, you died 1 second too early, you fail the instance.
Whiteberry in the
Generally-
chat says that we cannot get out in Moria. You have 6 skills, but 2 of them don't work anymore. So I guess with the class changes, 2 of the skills don't work anymore.
That would make sense.
You're right. I did have some trouble with 2 of those skills. She is completely right on that, and that you're right that your skills were, and that made it tougher to do. That made it tougher than it was before, because those are 2 skills that I had depended on when I was doing it in order. And I started running around all over the place trying. Oh no, how am I going to get through this?
Yeah, for the most part, I would agree with Pineleaf in that it's just a good way of telling a story that you would otherwise not be able to see at all. And it's just a nice teaser, like Fall of Moria, we've never been able to see any other way.
And Carell in the chat says most session plays he enjoys once or twice, and then he either really looks forward to them or he really dreads them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what leads to the next question here. And that is it right to make the session plays optional, which they have been doing lately, but not other mechanics like skirmishes in Moria and Mirkwood and epic battles in Helm's Deep?
Yeah, that's a tough one. And honestly, I
don't know.
I think that it's not fair. I think that epic battles should have been an optional thing, and the rest of the story should have been free. And the skirmishes are free, so that while they're not optional, it's not as big of an issue, because you don't have a monetary obligation to them. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents. What do you guys think? Drac.
I agree that definitely on the epic battles, they definitely should have been optional. I don't see any reason why they had to tie that whole system in to be epic. I mean, I understand why they did it, but there could have been a much better way of getting around it. They just could have made that whole thing a couple session plays at the end of the book, and then if you wanted to do the lousy epic battles, okay, go ahead and do them, whatever. Sorry, there's my seething, raging hate of epic battles again, but
Tell us what you really think,
And
Drac.
what about the skirmishes?
I didn't mind the skirmishes at all. And that's was perfectly fine. I think how they uh, worked those into Moria and Mirkwood, because they were part of the epic and it made sense. And at least in those, you actually felt like you were doing something to like move the story forward.
Yeah, you have a boss fight even in a skirmish, which I think that's the only one that's
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
that, at least, where you have a boss fight like that. And yeah, it's definitely used as a good storytelling device, but if someone doesn't like skirmishes, I mean, it still, might not be right to force it upon them.
Hmm. I think one point I've seen some people make is that session plays, unlike skirmishes and epic battles, are like you're not playing your character, playing
Yeah.
some other character you don't know, and reason like that is that, well, for them at least, that's reason enough to make it optional. But I find it hard to answer my own question now. I think if you're gonna make something optional like this for the epic, you should probably be consistent with it. So either make all of these optional or none of them, because having some session plays optional, some not, and then skirmishes and epic battles are just mandatory, flat out. That's it. It just seems kind of wrong in that way.
Yeah, it
Personally,
definitely is.
I wouldn't mind seeing them all optional. I think it would be kind of difficult to do with skirmishes and epic battles because you'd have to replace them with some other way of just getting the story along. So yeah, that's my view on it at least.
This was a really good question, and it's a really tough question to answer too. So, kudos to you for coming up with this question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
well done, Jake.
seen it
My-
come up a few times. Sorry.
My only two pennies was I really like playing Sam Gamgee, so that's all I've got. And I think they should all be optional or none. It should be one or the other. But yeah, I haven't really done big battle too much. I got in, I got lost, I got out. Skirmishes, I play sparingly, so I don't mind if it's in the story. I'll go along with it, but otherwise, I can take it or leave it. But
Yeah.
playing Sam was great.
Thing I seem to notice here now is that people are generally more okay with having the mandatory ones if they actually like doing them, which is understandable, obviously. But if thinking
I
of other
just-
people, because obviously
Yeah.
there are quite a lot of people who don't like skirmishes. That's it; they just don't want to do them ever.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be Boromir because I kept trying to will him not to die, but playing Sam wasn't made up for it. But yeah, that's the best one. I don't know about too many others. I've done the one in Moria. I think I died. I haven't done the one in. I like playing music.
Need a session play as a musician.
Whiteberry in the chat says that she loved being able to play Agmiriam in the Epic Volume 1, for example, with Laradane, etc. It's a nice break, but I agree that I wouldn't mind seeing them all optional. Oh my goodness, Zinger.
Yes,
Yeah.
Singer.
Let's
yes.
play as Lalia
Yes.
so we can living on her the rest
I
off the cliff.
I would pay for it.
Play as Sarah
Play it
Oakart,
while-
please. Commit suicide. Oh, she's annoying.
Have one for Sarah Oakart too, please.
Yeah.
Crow
course, everybody's
says
favorite
if it's
session.
optional. Oh, that's awesome. I love our chat room. So, conclusion, what do we think in unison? Not together, but you know what I mean.
Be consistent with what you're doing with it. Don't have some be optional, some not.
I think
Yeah.
we'd all like them to be optional.
I wouldn't mind it.
Well, I would say it probably depends on how much it really is necessary for the story.
Mm.
And that's where because so far the session plays we have is the that we have is in Wildermore. See, it was what the Rangers were doing, and therefore you're just wondering what's going on there. So that's not really important for the story of Wildermore.
Yeah.
The thing about the orc going through the wood, all right, you
Spoiler
see
alert.
the
Continue finally if I
all
give a
right,
spoiler alert.
yes,
But
yes, the one with the orc going through the wood. All right. I don't think that's really necessary in order to understand what's happened because let's face it, you really don't learn what's happened. You just know, okay, lots of orcs died.
and the orcs
Duh.
were very confused as to what was happening.
Right. So therefore, I don't think that's something required in order for the story to operate. If it's something where it's needed for the story to operate, then at least make it a session play that's not going to take you 50 times to attempt in order to succeed in it.
Yeah, I'd say that the skirmish,
Good
that's
point.
part of the reason why I don't mind the skirmishes in Mirkwood, is because they are kind of essential. I mean, you kind of, spoiler alert, take out, the main boss there. At least the lackey dude. That's a big, that's like the whole point of that whole book ends in that skirmish, and so it's a major plot telling device. The epic battles, they're kind of just, well, you're fighting, and that's about
Well,
it.
You're fighting, and so are
I mean, there's
a
not
couple
even
of thousand
really,
other heroes.
yeah, there's not even really any like major, aside from like quotes from the books, there's really no major dialogue there.
thing to consider with that then was it fair of them to put skirmishes in the epic to begin with? If because as I said, some people just loathe them. Is it fair on them to make everyone do them?
Well,
Mm.
the thing about the skirmishes in the epics is that the tradition by Turbine has been that whenever they introduce a major system, they in some way try to tie it in with the epic. Now, it was weakest with mounted combat because it was but instead, in order to continue with the epic, you still had to go through the gaining of your epic through the mountain there. In order, every single time, whenever they create a new system, they tie it in with it. Because I always think of the epic storyline almost as being a sampler of what you have in the end. And that's why I think those epilogues at the end of Mirkwood, that keeping that 6-player instance in the epilogue, I think was the right decision because there has to still be a 6-player instance tied in with the skirmish. Now, it's on an epilogue, so it's not a mandatory part of it. But it's ties into the epic because I think a sampler to give you an idea of every type of thing you have in the game is part of the purpose of the epic, in my opinion. I don't know if anyone else agrees with that, but that's an entirely different matter. And therefore, yes, having some of therefore, when they introduced the skirmishes, they include several of them that went with Mirkwood. Now, the ones that are in Moria, actually, first of all, Mirkwood, you got to remember is that Book 9 in Mirkwood is probably one of the most optional parts of the epic storyline. It's one book. It contained originally most of them in there, and you can just skip that. Now, okay,
That's
the
true.
one at the end of Volume 3, Book 1 is the least case on there because the ones in Moria were demanded by the player base.
Yeah. That's true about the 9th book, but at the same time, that's the end of the story, so I think more people would probably be interested in playing it. So,
Okay,
just to
you've got
find
a
out
point.
what's
That
happening.
right
The
there.
way I see it, epic is the epic.
Yeah. Yeah. Except for the first 5 books. Those are kind of,
Ugh. If there's no skirmishes in those, God, that would be terrible.
Oh, I would love Defensive Trestle Bridge to be a skirmish. Wait, didn't we discuss this before?
Yes, we have. We even have an episode titled that, finally. You know what would be awesome?
Have we hashed out this topic enough, or is there someone else who has something?
I think we pretty much covered.
But that was a great
Very well.
discussion topic. Thanks to Thelros. I'm looking forward to what you come up with next. That's awesome.
I'll be trolling the forums for stuff. I think I have a whole list of stuff there ready
Yeah,
to use for
and
next.
if anyone has a topic that they want to have on the show, feel free to email us at lotraplayers.mymillearth@gmail.com, and if it's a good one, or even if it's an okay one, we'll feature it on the show.
Yep.
Very well. Now we'll go
Unless
toward
it's about epic battles, and then I'll just laugh mercifully at you.
Well,
Yes.
Drac will, but Drac doesn't speak for, all of Lotro players. So.
We'll just have a discussion about red horses instead.
Ooh, touche. Touche.
Let us go into donations then. First, our first donation is from Carvet, and this one will be read by Endang.
All right, I will read this one. Hail and well met friends. He stole it. We already went over that in Adventures, but he stole my opening line. Anyway, hail and well met friends. This is Carvet, Log Splitter, known in real life as Eric, from the Lotro Players Adventures. The Lotro Players Adventures. I'm a firm believer in showing appreciation where it's due, especially from my wallet when I can. So in thanks to many hours I've spent in Lotro, reading Lotro Players articles, listening to podcasts, and especially grouping, tanking, goofing off about it on Lotro Players Adventures series, here is a $10 donation. Again, my thanks, Carvet. Well, Carvet, we give you our thanks. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. That's awesome.
And for dealing with me.
Yes. And our second donation is from Lisa and Lily Kate. Could you read that one, please?
I can indeed. You might hear a bit of Lizzie in the background. I can't do the accent. Sorry, Sarah. Sorry, Lisa. Greetings from a South African fan. I started in Lotro a year ago and have been listening to most of you, initially via CSTM and Lotro Academy, from my early days in the game. I want to thank you all for the very high quality of your post, podcast and vidcast. You each bring a very special and unique quality to the content, and I have learned so much about the game through you. Your enthusiasm for Lotro is also infectious. Best wishes, Lisa. And Lisa, thank you very much for your donation. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, and we have a South African fan. That's awesome. I didn't even know Lotro could be played in South Africa. So
Is that our first one?
that is our first one that is mentioned that they're from South Africa. So yeah, thank you so much for writing in.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yay!
That's so. Well, I guess if we can have some in Australia, you could have some in South Africa.
Yeah, that's
There's-
definitely true. But I just never
they're-
really thought about it. I figured it was just really, Europe and then North America and Australia, obviously. I didn't realize just how many countries Lotro's in.
Very well. We'll wait till the penguins start sending in about their Antarctic.
You get to read those, Pine Leaf.
Well, I don't know if we have any Russian fans, so I guess we're not.
Don't say never. It could happen. If you are
Yeah.
from Russia and you would like to send an email to us, feel free to. We'll read it on the show if it's in English.
Yes, they're going to ask, what's this epic battles thing? Yes.
You'll
Yes.
see. You'll see when you get Helm's Deep, Russia. You'll
Right.
see.
To help support Lotro Players, simply go to the donation page where you can help support the podcast of Lotro Players and also help support the site. We have $5 and $10 mentions where you can donate and get a mention on one or all of our active podcasts for an episode, depending on the amount. For $5, you'll get a mention on the podcast of your choice. For $10 or more, you will get a mention on all of our currently active podcasts. And now for our feedback. And our first one is from Lily Kate.
But she already read an email, so I think Athalros should read this one.
It's from me.
I have to.
Yeah, you do.
I am so glad I got to hear Ethelred's crash. You can just hear the enthusiasm. Sadly, my connection cut out at the best moment in the entire show. Trust me, it really wasn't. Pine Leaf's attempt was much better. I'm not sure what bar I told you so means?
Means besides I told
I
you
told
so. So in other
so.
words, that's not her favorite moment. It's I told you so.
Oh, right.
So she's
Okay.
saying like you're awesome, but you're not as awesome as this one moment. So really, you're not that awesome.
That makes sense. Just to mention that word or that word,
South or soft or
I am not even going to attempt to say any of those.
You know what's worse with me is I had thought that soft meant soft as opposed instead of south. So
Yeah, that is how we would say so. We do not rhyme slang, but I could for a pie or well-toasted crumpet or for.
Continue.
I'd rather not. Everyone else can read into the mix.
Draculetta, why don't you finish out Lily Kate's email?
Uh, where do I start?
After the notes. Right after the notes.
how about Nazgûl?
Right after the notes. Okay. I call Nazgûl play. I think it would be just as fun as a Wally Fart steed. I want one of those. Just imagine. First, you have to amass troops at Minas Morgul, then send troops into the raiding parties to Osgiliath. Then the epic moment you have to fight and win Minas Tirith, defeating all the kings, lords, and princes, not to mention a meddling wizard and an annoying hobbit Pippin. You do lose in the end as Frodo, Sam, and Gollum destroy the One Ring. And then she ends with Etheros. What was this boozy lemonade of yours? Yummy.
Unfortunately.
That was.
She
So
stole
what
your
does everybody
lemonade.
think about? What does everybody think about Nazgûl play?
Yeah, I called that.
I think that
Nice to see,
it would be awesome.
It would be nice to see more session plays from the view of the enemy, because I know they did one of those in Helm's Deep, and it's an interesting perspective.
Yes, but the
Maybe
question is,
maybe
should
the
we be opposite?
Nazgûl is a bit too high up in the rankings,
Yeah.
but it could be interesting.
I don't know. It'd be amazing if they had it when you go up against Gandalf, but I really doubt that one. But that would be cool. But at the same time, it'd be way cooler to be Gandalf. But they could do both sides. That'd be interesting. But at the
Let's
same
see what
time,
happens.
we never session played as a Balrog. We never, some of those more powerful things we never did. But the Balrog might be a camera limitation more than anything else.
Oh, but there's only one barrel. You could be any of the 9 ringwraiths on your mounted flying steed. Can you just imagine it?
Well, they're not
This
going
is
to
what
give us flying
Flying
steeds.
mounts.
Why not?
We flew on an eagle before.
We can have an
Yes,
eagle.
but you noticed that was a screen. You noticed that was a cut scene rather.
Hey,
Load screen, really.
So still shot.
some people consider loading screens to be reality. So
You see what happens when my brain gets overtired? This type of stuff pops into it.
and other people spend
So,
more time on
know,
the loading screen than in the
blame-
game.
I'm your schedule.
All right. Let us go to our emails for this week. And Andrew wrote, "Never heard of this MMO, but it appears to have got more votes than LOTRO on the MMO Com Showdown for Ultimate Free to Play."
Keep going, Pineleaf.
Can you give some info about the winner of the next LOTRO Players episode? So the question is, what about the
Winners.
There was a poll.
Yeah, there was a poll on MMO Bomb where they had basically what's the best free-to-play MMO, and they had a showdown between LOTRO and I can't think of what it was called now.
Mabinogi.
Mabinogi. Does anyone actually know what Mabinogi is?
Well, someone pasted in the Wikipedia articles. That
Somebody
helps.
did. I wonder who that was.
I wonder who
Yeah.
that was. Yeah,
So
basically, it's a Korean grindy MMO is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, yeah. What happened in this thing is apparently that is that the people at LOTRO are used to receiving an email notice about these things. In this case, it was only sent as a tweet to the participants, and we weren't used to that. Apparently, the people at Momonoji were, and therefore they started very early in their campaign, and we finally found out about it about 3 hours before the closing of the polls, and then we went from way, way, way behind to, I think, missing by 100 votes or something like
It
that.
was really
very
close.
close.
It was really close.
It was really close at the end. It was like an incredible run at the end.
Hmm. And credit to their community, they were very passionate about it as well. I was looking over their forums when they were discussing it, and they were pretty much actually as excited about it as we were.
Yeah. Krell says it. We were at 30% and we went all the way to 75%. And it became within 50 votes before it was ended by them.
Yeah, I remember right. They they took a snapshot at exactly 1 o'clock,
Yep.
and that's when it ended.
If it would have
That's
been
when
2 o'clock,
that
we
was-
would have won.
We
It was
found out
2
earlier.
o'clock, we would have won.
It was very impressive for both sides, really.
Yeah, it was.
Especially us, considering how far behind we were.
Yes, and as for reviews, we did not receive any reviews this week.
Aw.
But if you'd like to leave one at iTunes, we would love to read it here on the show.
Yeah, and it helps out the show. The more reviews we get, the more it helps.
Right, and you can contact us at the email account at lotraplayers.mymiddleearth@gmail.com. And you can also follow us on Twitter, LotroPlayers at LotroPlayers, Andang at PVMP_Andang, Braxwolf at Braxwolf, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, Ethelrose at Ethelrose, Lily Kate at Lily Kate Buggins, Mystery at Mystery XOX, and that is an I, not a Y, in Mystery, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles. And now you can join us live every week. First for Local Players Adventures, which goes live each Saturday at 5 p.m. server time, and Local Players News that goes live each Saturday at 8:30 time, and that is United States Eastern Times. And we'd like to remind you once again that tomorrow, which is March the 9th, we will be moving the clocks forward 1 hour in the United States. So if you live in a part of the world that is not moving them forward right now, then that may affect the time in which you tune in. You can join us by going to lotraplayers.com/live and be sure to join us in the YouTube chat. Thanks for watching, and remember to skirmish responsibly.
Heal Pineleaf.